as we learn from the wisdom of the book of Ecclesiastes, there's a time to speak and a time to stop speaking. I think I could go on with that silence for quite a while. But there are some things I would like to bring to my attention and to your attention. And first, I'll begin with some good news. It may have crossed the minds of some of our longtime members or not, but last weekend, September 27th, marked the 33rd anniversary of the dedication of this building. And I wonder who here today might have been there in 1992. I have a few guesses. Russell, thank you, and probably Bob and Lindy Anderson, and I'm guessing maybe John and Yvette Trotman, who are traveling right now. But just journey with me for a moment. Today, our daily word and the intention of my lesson is to speak about the power of appreciation. And I don't mean like the song in South Pacific, happy talk, happy, happy, happy talk. No, to see deeply the significance, the power, the beauty within something, yourself, another person, a place, the world. Appreciate, contrary to depreciate, means to raise your vision of something. And so just imagine, yes, you can see these walls, you can see these beautiful windows that former members made for the sanctuary. You can see furnishings. You can see all the activities going on. But how often do you stop and allow a moment of silent appreciation? For these walls were shaped, truly shaped, by loving hands and generous donations. If we could hear these walls, they would tell us about the love and dedication that went into creating this structure so that the Unity South congregation would have a beautiful, custom-built, I might add, home. Sometimes people ask me, oh, did you buy that building from some other church? Which is very typical of Unity churches, to buy a building and repurpose it. But this was thought through from the foundation to the roof. Every detail. And there are many places I, as a former architect, look and go, wow, they could have gotten by a lot cheaper than doing all of the trim in solid oak. It could have been done in vinyl. It would have been more practical, but there was a real effort. They started with stacking chairs in this room until the members, one by one, could buy all of these custom-built oak chairs for our enjoyment this October 5th, 2025. So I just invite you, when you have some quiet times here in the building or even somewhere else, to just reflect, to appreciate this home we have and see it as more than just drywall and wood and carpeting, but to see it as an expression of the great love, vision, and hope that the former members of this church really worked toward. Does anybody remember when the piano was purchased? Holly does. Jimmy probably does. In 1988. They did it by each person donating a key until they had all 88 keys paid for and they could get the piano. So I just wanted to both celebrate the 33rd, which numerically, or in numerology, is a very powerful number of completion of a whole phase. Our 33rd anniversary is right here upon us, so let's give a little thought and gratitude toward what was achieved by members of this church. And you can go downstairs and ask Lindy if she was here. Of course, she was just in the crib when the church was finished, but you can ask her about that. Well, today, I made a plan with high hopes for today, for this lesson, to talk about appreciation. And then life got in the way. My minister's secret, I call it, is whatever subject you plan ahead to talk about on a Sunday, then life says, oh, okay, let me give you some examples to test your faith, your trust, your desire to let it be or be at peace with what is happening. First, after 20 years, my car conked out. Now, she was good because she never left me stranded. Before she would break down in the past, she would always get me home to the church, someplace safe. And this time, she literally got me into the service bay at the dealership. And then all the lights went on at once. She started chugging and then went, brah. And that was it. So I started that process of what am I going to do now? This wasn't how I planned this week. I have things to do. And now I had no freedom to get around. So I adjusted. And I planned what I thought was best. Did a little shopping with the help and encouragement of a few friends around here. Found what seemed to be right, and then I thought, I remember an old affirmation when I had to sell our family home back in Kansas City. This does not have to be difficult. And I kept holding to that. Every time any worry came, cars are expensive now. What am I going to do? How am I going to manage this? This does not have to be difficult. Let it be. Be at peace. Allow the process to work. And so I did. And as soon as I picked up that new car Tuesday, then I got a cold. And last night I was thinking, wow, yesterday I could hardly speak. I kind of scared at our pet blessing, probably scared the animals a little bit. I now bless you. But they still seem to have a good time. The sweet animals and their human beings who came for that pet blessing. So again, I was affirming last night, don't struggle. Your body has been created by God to heal itself. Let it do its work. It may not be on the schedule you planned, but I said, given a preference, God, I would like to be able to speak Sunday morning. So I'm on my way back, a little deeper in voice than usual. But the point is to trust, to trust. And it reminded me of a cliche, life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. And that led me to a well-known Quote, although it's thought that it was created by journalist Alan Saunders in the 50s, some people attribute it to John Lennon because he incorporated it in a song, the song that he wrote for his second son, Sean. It was entitled Beautiful Boy, Beautiful Boy. And it was about trusting life, allowing life to fold, and to realize at times you will have plans, and then everything around you seems to be in chaos. But it's okay. Beautiful boy. You'll make it through. To live fully in the present, to be present to this moment, is to be powerfully creative right now. Charles Fillmore wrote in his book, The 12 Powers, which inspired our windows in this very room. He wrote, divine ideas must be incorporated into our consciousness and worked out in our life. They are not for theory only. They must be demonstrated. And this was the essence of our unity movement under Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, was to demonstrate truth. Myrtle liked to say, demonstrate the truth you know. Where you are today, apply that to your life, your circumstances, your community. Ideally, or appropriately, our daily word is appreciate. And I've given you its definition as to grasp, to see the nature, the worth, the quality, the significance of ourselves, others, a circumstance. Wherever you find yourself, you look, you appreciate what can be, what can come to pass, to nourish. Charles Fillmore also wrote a statement that's very similar to what is attributed to Gandhi, to be the change you want to see. Charles said, if you want prosperity in your life, greater good, then do the things that support good in your life. If you want harmony and love in your friendships and our relationships, then do your part to support love, harmony, understanding, forgiveness in all your relationships. We are all charged to participate, to add to life wherever we are, to do what we can, not only for our own blessing, but the blessing of all people we cross paths with. And the first part of that appreciation is this waking up to seeing what's right before you. Recently, I told you of Jacob from the Old Testament, awakening from an inspiring dream. You remember Jacob's ladder, with angels ascending and descending. He awoken from that dream and realized, wow, where I am is the gate to heaven, to paradise, to good. And I didn't realize it. He awoke to the possibility. And where was he? In the desert. He had just slept all night with a rock for a pillow. But he could see good even in that situation. And then last week we reflected on the parable Jesus told about the prodigal son. This young man, after he squandered his inheritance, awoke in the middle of a mess. He was living and eating with the pigs. Isn't that an image? Sleeping in the pig pens among the animals and eating what food the pigs left over. And then suddenly he woke up. He exclaimed, "My father is wealthy with a great estate, and I can go home. I can go home." I was in this sanctuary this morning, setting up before sunrise, and it's always my favorite time, whether it's before sunrise or in the evening, in this room, because it's the only time that you can see the 12 power words here are not black as they appear when sun is coming through the window, but they're actually done in gold leaf. And when it's dark outside, all these words are glittering gold. And I thought, what a wonderful metaphor. There is so much God potential in our lives and our world. Possibilities God has given us if we will do our part to make things better. And it's as if they were these golden words of power. But we only see them in those special circumstances, like this morning when it's dark. And dark is associated with silence. And so it's only in the stillness when we can see what we truly have within ourselves, within the world, to work with. Much of our time during the day, there is so much noise, so much going on in the world that we can't see the silent but powerful blessings of God all around us because we're too busy with the TV, with the phone, talking to our neighbor, going grocery shopping. These things are all fine, but they can so grab our attention that we forget the subtle but all powerful gifts of God within us. They're there as keys to open doors of opportunity in our life. They're there as a soft velvet glove to comfort you when your feelings are hurt because of harsh words from another person. These keys, these tools, these possibilities are always there. But we have to wake up to them. And to wake up to them, we start with appreciation, with seeing, like I illustrated with this building. It's not just a wall or a floor. This was a dream of our church family, brought through hard work into a reality that we enjoy today. So what are some practices that we can use to awaken ourselves? Or one I particularly like, especially in quiet times, like in the sanctuary this morning before the sun came up with these golden ideals all about me, is called More Radiant Than the Sun. We've used it before as a meditation. There are cards of this verse down in the rotunda for you to take if you would like. But it speaks to the highest truth in you. In unity, we may call it the Christ within. We may call it the divine I am, existence itself. We may call it the higher or true self, but we must awaken to it. So let me read you the version that I paraphrased. Theoretically, this goes all the way back to the Sanskrit language, thousands of years ago. More radiant than the sun in its noontime glory, purer than the untouched snow on the mountain peak, more subtle than the essence of material matter, is the self, the spirit within my heart. I am that self I am. And you can hold these thoughts. Imagine that physical sun in its noontime glory. What does it do? It shines everywhere. That's the truth of yourself, your inner Christ, your I am. It works its way into every aspect of your life. Purer than the untouched snow on the mountain peak, that part of you, what Emily Cady calls the true eternal self of you. It is not soiled. You know how dirty snow can get? It is not soiled on the mountain peak, untouched by human hands. That's the truth within you. It has not been soiled or diminished by your life story. It is radiant, it is powerful, and it is more subtle than the essence of material matter. All this stuff that grabs our attention, more subtle, we have to look for it, is that truth within, that I am. And that's why people like Charles Fillmore talked about your divine name being I am, and maybe it seems like just a word game to you, but they used to caution Unity students in their day, be careful. Be respectful of how you use your divine name, I am, and what you attach to it. For example, Charles said, what do you expect from life when you're constantly telling yourself, I am poor, I'm sick, I'm stupid, I'm less than I should be? That's your divine truth. Do you think it's going to be helpful to attach it to less than ideas? No, it should be attached to the highest truth you can imagine. I am awesome. I am God's child. I am creative. I am a radiant center of Christ, mighty to attract my good and to radiate good to others. A famous affirmation of Ernest Wilson. So practice as an awakening process, attaching your divine name, the truth of you, I am. God has caused me to exist. I am. What are you going to connect it to? Your ideals or your daily troubles or squabbles? Another awakening verse I enjoyed is from Mark Nebo and his book, The Book of Awakening. I quote, "Seeking life everywhere, I found it in the burn of my lungs." What did he mean? Seeking life everywhere, I found it in the burn of my lungs. He goes on, simply by waking, waves of feeling pulse close to the bone. And this continual pulse is so deep, it aches. It is the ache of being alive. I used to think this ache was sadness, but now I know it is deeper than not getting what I want or losing what I need. This waking, close to the bone, is the pulse from which both joy and sadness rise, where pain and wonder meet. Now I wake on stubborn fall days that resist the cold. I wake before the sun, the world wet with anticipation, and feel this ache, the way the earth feels its core grind about that central fire that no one sees. It is the slight burn of being here, of being in this world. So let's take a moment and move into the silence. As we do, a phrase I often say came to mind: wake up and smell the coffee. Has anyone ever said that? Wake up and smell the coffee. For a deeper awakening, we could say, wake up and feel the appreciation. Right to your very bones, right to the center of your heart, right to the depth of your mind. So let's take a moment, turn our attention within, and allow this appreciation to come forth in our soul like a sunrise does for the earth. A radiance that is small to begin with and grows in its warmth and its glory. And now in the sense of wonder, bring to mind anything from your daily life, anything you can glean or gather from your life that may have been a concern, a worry, even a fascination. And say, how can the good within me deal with this circumstance, this relationship, this experience in life? How can I appreciate it? How can I raise it to a higher level where I begin to shape it creatively? Whether it's a physical illness, an apparent lack in your life, remember that self within you, that truth within you. I am the expression of God in this world. Eric Butterworth used to describe it: you are the expression of God where you are, right where you are in life. Spirit wants to flow forth in greater measure. Appreciate that truth. Allow your faculty of imagination to see how it is at work in your life. And let that sunrise rise. More radiant than the sun, in its noontime glory, is the self, the spirit within my heart, my power to think, to speak, to do in this world. Thoughts, words, and deeds that make a difference for the better in my life, my community, my world. The Spirit that created you has given you this choice to take up any circumstance in your life and say, how can I appreciate this as truly a gate of heaven opening before me with new possibilities, with new ways to love, to create, to prosper, to bless. It is a choice we all have. I invite you to awaken to that possibility within you. And then as you're ready, allow your attention to come back to this sanctuary in which you're seated. And to remember those powerful words of Scripture. This is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Isn't that a wonderful phrase? Be glad in it. So I invite you after this service, as you mingle and enjoy one another's company downstairs, how can you be glad in it? How can you appreciate your friends? And carry that into the rest of Sunday and the beginning of your week. Rejoice and be glad in it. And so it is.